you know you're going to see animals. Animals are going to want to be there for your viewing pleasure.
Yeah.
Or if you're a hunter, for an opportunity at harvesting one of those animals. And there's a lot that we could do. Again, it comes back to what are your goals as the owner of this property?
You said cover too. Like I get water, food. What's an example of cover?
You have grasses. Grasses are cover. We let sunlight hit the ground. It's going to produce everything for you naturally. The seed bank's already there. So it's going to bring up what is native in that area. And we have different bushes. One of my favorite bushes to plant is American beautyberry down here. It likes sandy soils and it grows into a bush that not only provides that cover, so you got the wind blowing through, they can kind of tuck behind it once that bush matures, and it provides a forage. It's a soft mass. It's got a berry to it that your wildlife can eat. Birds, turkey, deer, just about anything will take advantage of those.
Welcome to the LandLife podcast with your host, PJ Riley.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the LandLife podcast. My name is PJ Riley. Guys, if you're getting value from this podcast, don't forget, like, subscribe, leave 5 stars. If you get a chance, you're listening on Spotify or iTunes, do me a favor, leave a 1 or 2 line review. Nothing crazy, just 1 or 2 lines. You know, your guest today, Robbie, was really cool. I'm interested in his business. I want to learn more, something like that. Nothing crazy. You don't have to get too wild unless you want to, of course. Want to send a quick shout out to my buddy, Adam Keller. He sent me his 101 real world side hustle book. Super cool guy. A lot of cool, interesting information in there. But I wanted to shout out to that guy because he's a good dude doing a lot of good things. Check out his podcast too. Guys, at the end of the podcast, our guest Robbie's gonna let you know how you can contact him. So if there's things that you want to follow up with, you know, something he says that resonates with you, stick around to the end. Robbie's going to say, hey, this is my social media handles. This is my email, however he wants to contact you. So that way you guys can keep the conversation going. I know we got a lot of land guys here that listen to this podcast, and Robbie does some really cool stuff with land that we're going to talk about here in a second. So real quick, give a quick bio. He's a husband, a father, and he's an actual biologist. Like, this guy's smart. He's much smarter than I am. We deal with land, but he's a smart guy. He's a wildlife biologist. He owns a wildlife and habitat management consulting company in College Station, Texas. So, Robbie, how's it going, man?
Oh, it's going well. How about yourself, buddy?
Good, man. Life is good. We talked for quite a bit before this. So,
oh yeah.
I know what he does, man, and it's really freaking cool. So, give a quick background on you, who you are, and kind of like catch us up to speed.
Dude, I just like I said earlier when we were speaking before, I wanted to be a dumb redneck in the woods counting deer. And I tell everybody it just took a master's degree to, I guess, give me the confidence to be that dumb redneck in the woods. But, you know, prior military, bounced around. And after I got out, the transition, it was challenging, which all of us that were prior military have experienced the difficulties of the transition. Got my bachelor's at Eastern Kentucky University in Richmond, Kentucky. Stumbled down to Three Rivers, Texas, as a wildlife consulting intern. And basically what we did was the deer industry. All the stuff that's deer down here, we did it from breeding pens to your pasture animals, you know, maintaining and taking care of them. And then eventually I was like, man, working for someone else sucks. Like, I need to do something different.
Yeah.
So went back to Sam Houston State University here in Texas and got my master's. It's a master's in agriculture with a focus in wildlife behavior. So I'm a deer guy. I would rather be outside than inside. So found a way to make it work for me.
That is crazy. Like, so you went to college to do all this. And so how were you able to financially transfer? Because I get it, it's not fun working for somebody else, but is this an industry where it's easy to transition from an employee to a business owner?
No. So when I started M4 Outdoors right at the height of the good old COVID stuff. And part of it was I was finishing my master's in May of 2020. And I was like, well, this is why you did it. So I just jumped into it, started it. I had one ranch that I was working with as the ranch manager, senior guide, booking, selling hunts, marketing, doing all of those things. And I was like, hey, I'm already doing this for you. So do you want to kind of transfer it over to this company? And he's like, yeah, I'll be your first client. I'm like, cool,
Wow.
let's do that. Um, at the same time, we just had my daughter and I had mouths to feed. My wife has supported me 1,000% through me going to get my master's and then starting this thing. Um, so I was actually a estimator for a construction company while I was getting this thing up and going. So there were days when I'd go into the office from 7 to 4 or 5, and then I would have to go to a ranch following work to
Yeah.
dart animals and do spotlight surveys and be there till 3 or 4 in the morning to come home, kiss the wife on her forehead, not even shower, and
Yeah.
then jump back in the truck and then go to the office. So
Yeah.
it's in this having a wildlife and habitat consulting company is such a niche space,
Yeah.
and you have to be in an area where landowners want the service, right?
Mhm.
So to just transition into it, you got to grind. You just can't simply say like, I'm just going to do this,
Yeah.
because I've been at it since 2020, and I've picked up a few clients that are starting to move the needle, so to say, but it's still in that grind mode, still grinding,
Yeah.
still trying to work and get to where we can be.
Yeah. So this, I've never even heard of this. So I mean, maybe it exists out there. Obviously, it exists out there, but I've never like even thought about doing this. I buy and sell a lot of land throughout the country,
Yes,
and I've
sir.
been doing it for quite a while. So, and I know a lot of guys and gals listening to this, they do the same thing. So
Mhm.
they're like, wait a minute, there's another way we can improve our land without like turning it into a subdivision or something like that. So give us some
Oh yeah.
examples of things you're going to do when you jump in. Let's say I got a 40-acre property in Texas.
Mhm.
We'll go Texas. And what are you going to do? How are you going to help improve that?
What your goals are as a landowner. If you just want, you want it to be beautified to where it's pretty. If you want it just for a place for you and your family to go and hang out, get away from the hustle and bustle of the city and your day to day life, all we're going to do is we're going to clean it up for you. And we do it in a manner where it's wildlife in a close second. So you are 1A as the owner, and wildlife is a 1B. Because anytime I mess with anything that's part of a habitat, part of an ecosystem, I'm affecting the wildlife that calls that home as well.
Yeah.
So if your goal is to again have that little place just for you and your family to go hang out at, we can we can clear the spot where your house is going to be. We can build you a pond. We can put a fountain in it. We can stock it with fish. Whatever it is, whatever picture you have in your mind, it's my job to take and put it on paper and to turn it in and turn it into a reality. So let's say you're wanting to see more deer. Everybody loves deer if they're into the outdoors. I mean, it's the most beautiful thing on the face of the planet. So why not see them constantly, right? So we would start to develop that 40 acres with native habitat first and foremost in mind. So we can clear a space out, whether we're clear cutting for food plots, actually clear an entire area, or we can do stuff like hack and squirt, to where we just come in and kill the trees while it's standing in order to get that sunlight down to create native habitat.
Hmm.
And then what we do is we transition into the food plots, into the feeders, and we make sure that animals need three things: food, water, and cover. So if you're wanting to see more animals, that's what we do. We make sure we have food, we make sure we have water, and we make sure we have cover.
Mhm.
Now, on a 40-acre spot, what I would do is I would zoom out, right, get the 30,000 foot view. I'll see what your neighbors have. So if your neighbors have water, we're not going to waste the resources that we have on providing water.
Yeah.
I'm going to go into food. I'm going to go into cover, bedding, things like that. So we're basically taking this raw piece of land, and again, with your goals in mind, turning it into a spot where you don't have to worry about anything. You just go and you show up, and everything's ready for
Yeah.
you. And it's a wildlife haven. It's somewhere where you're going to see animals. Animals are going to want to be there for your viewing pleasure.
Yeah.
Or if you're a hunter, for an opportunity at harvesting one of those animals. So it's there's a lot that we could do. Again, it comes back to what are your goals as the owner of this property.
So you said cover too. Like I get water, food. What's an example of cover?
So you have grasses. Grasses are cover. You got, like, if we get all specific and sciencey, you got like little blue stem, big blue stem, stuff that's going to provide thermal cover. So let's say we got trees. That's going to protect rain. That's going to protect you from snow, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But what about when the wind blows? You're going to need something to cover you up from the winds too, especially being in Colorado, right?
Yeah.
You guys have this stuff. You guys have snow down here in Texas.
Oh,
yeah. They say it snows. I don't know if I've seen it yet where I'm at. So, but what we do is, again, just by clearing, an acre of your 40 acres, we let sunlight hit the ground. It's going to produce everything for you naturally. The seed bank's already there. So it's going to bring up what is native in that area. And so, we have different bushes. One of my favorite bushes to plant is American beautyberry down here. It likes sandy soils, and it grows into a bush that not only provides that cover, so you got the wind blowing through, they can kind of tuck behind it once that bush matures, and it provides a forage. It's a soft mass. It's got a berry to it that your wildlife can eat. Birds, turkey, deer, just about anything will take advantage of those berries.
How long does it take you to prepare these properties?
Anytime I'm meeting with somebody, again, based on their goals, a timeline is one of the first things we discuss. There's nothing that I can do overnight.
Yeah.
That's not a thing. I explain wildlife management is a minimum of a 5-year plan. Year 1, we get it together and we begin. Year 2, we're starting to see, so getting all sciencey. There's
yeah. Be careful with the science. I'm not a very smart guy, so I wasn't in college. I was not good at science, so that was I took like 3 years of geology, I think, and failed all of them. So yeah. Third grade level here.
I'm like the smartest guy and the dumbest shit, right? So the plant succession is what wildlife really needs, and what that means is we take a mature forest, we knock it back down to bare dirt, more or less, and then we let nature kind of come back, and it'll do it in stages, right? So it's just like you going out and mowing your grass. You mow your grass once, that grass is going to start coming up. And then if you just leave it alone, then you're going to get some of the bigger, taller grasses.
Yeah.
You're going to get some of the brush, some of the things that are a little more hardy and challenging to get rid of. So within the first 5 years, you'll basically take that blank canvas and you'll get to what we would call stage 2, maybe stage 3 of this plant succession, which is allowing the native vegetation to come back and take over. So we're looking at a minimum of 5 years before you see the changes that you want. And a lot of people, they're like, 5 years? That's grand scheme of things. That's a long ass time.
Yeah. You can't put a pond in today? Come on. Dig a hole, put some water in there.
What? Yeah, we're doing a pond. That's a little quicker than 5 years. As long as we get rain, yeah. Or you just turn on a faucet and let it drip for a long time.
Okay. So you're doing all these things. It takes quite a bit of time to like actually because you're making it look natural. We're not you're not digging a hole, putting a new tree, a bunch of trees in, and palm trees in the middle of Texas or anything like that. So
For sure.
it takes a while.
Yeah, well, we can. So an easy way to describe what we do is landscaping for wildlife.
Okay.
So if you wanted to, if we have the resources available, and you wanted to go out and be like, look, I don't really want to wait 5 years. Okay, the budget just increased exponentially, just because now we are buying those trees that are potted and been grown at a nursery for 5, 7, 10 years, so that we have that massed production. We are stocking the pond that we just built with 5 to 7 pound bass, as opposed to, spending $10 a bass for fingerlings. Now we're spending $125 for a 5 pound bass that we got to get shipped from Florida.
Wow.
So we can do it quicker. We can absolutely do it quicker. But if we're doing it the natural way, and allowing the nature to do its thing, minimum 5 years. And we can put in food plots and stuff like that. So let's say that same 1 acre that we just clear cut, if we don't want to wait for it to grow back up, well, then we come in and we plant food plots in the fall and in the spring, so that food is readily available right now. So even with that, we're still looking at 5 years before the wildlife may become of the quality that you want, or the species richness, how many different species you have available at one time in that same place.
That is so interesting. Okay. So I would imagine it's based on how long it takes for you to develop this. Also is based on the size of the property. How small do you work? I guess give me a range, like how small and how big.
Shoot, if let's just say we'll go back to that 40 acres. Hell, we'll talk about my 20 acres. I've got 20 acres that my wife and I just moved out to, and it hasn't been touched in probably 20 years. So, cedars everywhere, which if you're a wildlife guy, or the majority of property guys, cedar, unless you could sell them to a lumber yard or a logger, they're pretty, but they're not beneficial for anything for you or for wildlife. So, I've got to clear these cedars. I've got to let that sun get to the soil. So I can create on 20 acres what we would want to create on 20,000 acres. The difference is the amount that I have to do on 20 acres is going to be a lot less, because again, that 30,000 foot view, I'm looking at, well, what do all my neighbors have? All my neighbors here have water. All my neighbors have cover. All I got to do is give them food now.
Wow.
So now I create a food source that my neighbors don't have. So on smaller properties, we basically just want to create the opportunity for the wildlife to have a reason to come see us.
Yeah.
So they're just kind of traveling through in their day-to-day migrations, right? Their day-to-day travels.
Yeah.
They're going to wake up. They're going to be hungry. They're going to be thirsty. They're going to want to go back to bed. So how do I catch them and give them one of those 3 things?
Yeah.
If they have the others elsewhere. Now a 20,000 acre property, obviously we're going to be able to do more. So for, again, I'm more of a whitetail guy than anything.
Mm-hmm.
So for whitetail, we want to look at 80 acres and less, because the true home range is approximately 80 acres for a matured buck.
Okay.
So, and as they mature, their home range gets a little bit smaller, and it kind of right around that 25 to 40 acre mark. So we could break down that property into 40-acre sections and literally provide everything we need for deer in that 40 to 80-acre section.
That's super interesting. I was thinking you would have to do we'd have to have like 640s plus, to do any of this, but that's very interesting.
Mm-hmm. And right now with land, right? Land, and we discussed it earlier, land's always going to gain value.
Mm-hmm.
Here's one thing about hunters. We like land. We like to hunt. So if I'm a hunter and I'm looking at, let's say you have 500 acres, that's just sitting there. You're not making money off of it other than the value itself increasing. We can come in, we can create this habitat, start putting up trail cameras, taking pictures of the deer, of the turkey, depending on where you're at, bear, moose, mule deer, whatever the case may be. Now you can start marketing that property to lease it out. Let the hunters at least cover your taxes.
Yeah.
So that you're not coming out of pocket for that. And you're improving the habitat, which is going to improve the value if you do turn around and sell it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you are, so let's say I do have the 500 acre. What are we looking at as far as like hunting leases? So, cause I know a lot of land people, I mean, some are hunters, they like camping, hunting, but a lot are just business guys, right? They just buy and sell land because it's a widget to deal with.
Yep.
What are we looking at for hunting leases on properties? What roughly, what can you expect to get back from, let's work it back. Let's say a 40-acre property.
Okay. Well, again, one of the things that I always recommend is cover your taxes, whatever your taxes may be. My taxes on this 20 acres is going to be about $1,500.
Mm-hmm.
So if I were to have the wildlife present, have the trail camera pictures to where I can be like, hey, you can lease this for $1,500. There's animals here. You're going to have an opportunity. Well, then I lease for $1,500. Just go ahead and cover it. Now, if I'm putting in food plots and I'm maintaining corn feeders or protein feeders, then my price goes up.
Mm-hmm.
So now let's say I'm spending a total of $5,000 a year with taxes and my input. Well, then I just charge $5,000 a year. Or another route you can go is cover your taxes and allow the hunters to put in their own food plots or to maintain their own feeders.
Okay.
So now you're not at that cost.
Okay, that makes a ton of sense. So, I mean, basically just find out what you would owe on this thing because you're going to use it. They're going to use it. I mean, might as well break even and pay your taxes on this. Do you see people doing this as a money maker? Like, do you see guys bringing you in? Hey, I need this, this, and this. We got, I don't know, 12 hunting leases a year or something like this. Do you see that as an option for people too? After they're utilizing your services, are they making money off this? Is like a business?
They do a lot of times. Well, there are select properties. Like down here, we have all the high fences, right? So we have all the big hunting industry guys.
Yeah.
A lot of the properties are just trying to break even because the cost is, so if for, let's say, my total input, including equipment, fuel, feeders, protein feeders or whatnot, let's say my total input's $50,000 on this property. Depending on how much is there or what wildlife is available, I'm going to have to book 10 to 20 hunts or lease it for that $50,000 in order to just break even.
Okay.
So once you get established in the industry, that's when you start making money. Once you have a name and you get your recurring clients and they're coming back, that's when you start to add profitability to an operation.
Okay.
So at first you're just trying to break even, right? Yeah, nobody likes to lose money.
Yeah.
But we also don't want to make too much because of the old Uncle Sam. So let's just try to break even, for the first couple of years
Yeah.
of doing this thing, and then we can start breaking into that profitability.
Okay. All right. That all makes sense. You're talking about something else that you were doing with land, with bees. Like this isn't just doing for hunting. You're not putting properties together to hunt on. You're doing all kinds of stuff. So, like, talk about the bees and any other things that you're doing to these properties. It's super cool.
So down here in Texas, you have your agricultural exemption for your tax valuation, and you have wildlife exemption. So on either side, you're utilizing livestock and or wildlife to bring to get that tax exemption on your property.
Okay.
So just the land itself. And in order to go wildlife, you have to maintain your agricultural exemption for 5 years. So I have to run cattle out here for 5 years. Well, I got 20 acres. That's not a whole lot of land for cattle. And I really don't want them stomping around and eroding the property and tearing it all up.
Yeah.
Oh, so we can use bees. So I bring bees out to the property, put, you know, down here for the first 5 acres, you have to have 6 hives. And then for every 5 acres after that, it's one. So, or it's two, sorry. So we're looking at, I would have to put 9 hives on my property in order to establish my agricultural exemption. So I put beehives out here this year, and then in 5 years, they give me my ag exemption. They're saying, hey, okay, you're doing this long enough. We believe that you're actually agriculturally minded.
Yeah.
And then that 6th year, I can turn it over to wildlife. So now I no longer need the beehives. I can transition my property to wildlife exemption, which is the exact same exemption as if I were running a herd of cattle out here. And there are 54 different practices in the state of Texas that qualify for me to get this wildlife exemption. Something as simple as bird feeders and bird houses and bird surveys. Now, bees are going to cost, for something like that, $3,500-$4,500
Mm-hmm.
just to get it started. But once I get to where I can turn over to wildlife, how much is it going to cost me to fill a bird feeder every year?
Yeah.
Pennies.
Yeah.
So we could take you from one of my I was talking to my wife the other day, and I was just sitting there thinking, I was like, boom, and it hit me like a Mack truck out of left field. I was like, new slogan: tired of all the bullshit. Want to keep your exemption, but get rid of the cows. Let's talk wildlife exemption. I was like, dude,
I like that.
I was like,
Yeah.
all right, that might work. So it's something as simple as that. And because Texas is like 97% privately owned.
Yeah.
So that's an incentive for landowners to maintain their property for wildlife, to benefit wildlife.
Yeah.
So instead of just doing whatever with it, we can improve it, enhance it, and maintain the quality of habitat available for the wildlife running around the state.
That's insane. And then you could, at the same time, I mean, I keep going back to this, you could turn the beehives into a business as well, right? Selling honey. I mean, could you lease? Have you ever thought of leasing bees? Because I know a lot of people want to have beehives. They just don't have the land. What if you lease the land to the beehive owner? Is that, I guess that would be an option too, right?
Yes, because so what a lot of places do is there's I call them beehive guys. There are beehive guys that we call, hey,
Yeah.
I need 6 beehives here. And they have to have their hives somewhere and their colonies somewhere.
Yeah.
If they don't have the land for it, they need somewhere to go. So you could easily say, hey, I'll lease you 10 acres of my 20 for you just to stack beehives. Because here's the other side of that. you as the landowner, you're leasing it out to the beehive guy, and you have beehives on your property, making money off of him, maintaining your agricultural tax exemption,
Yeah.
so saving money there, and you got all the pollinators in the world.
That's insane. That is insane. See, these are all the things, man. Most people don't think about this kind of stuff, you know? I don't. Been doing land for a long time, man. I never thought about that.
Oh yeah, like raw land is a playground. Again, it's taking your ideas, your goals, or just having the conversation to where, hey, what can I do with this? Well, here are some options on the wildlife side. This is what we can do over here. We can take this raw land and make it a hunting destination. We can make it a place for you and your family just to go and hang out. We can make it a place to where you put up little cabins for our Airbnb,
Yeah.
and you have a pond there for fishing, so your guests can go and do that. Like we can put trails through it. Like whatever it is you want, it's a blank canvas. We gotta be able to pull out and find that artist in you to help us make that canvas appear the way you want it to.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you're in Texas. How far do you travel, or are you willing to travel to do these types of projects?
I am small right now, but my goal and my ambition is to, if I'm in Canada one week, in Mexico the next.
I got you.
We could right now. I've got properties in Kentucky. I consult for some guys in Ohio, and then most of it right now is in Texas. But if there's something, let's say you are buying a property based on part of their sales pitch to you is, oh, it's got this wildlife, it's got that wildlife. Well, I can come in with my trail cameras or come in with spotlights and do a density survey. And I can tell you, like, hey, look, they're telling you you've got 100 head of deer here. My trail cameras and my spotlights are telling me you actually have 45.
Mm.
So that now gives you some negotiating power to be like, look, you're saying it's this, it's actually half of that. How much of the value are you placing on the herd that you say is here?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if they say, $1,000 a head, well, now we just saved 65 grand because there's science shows that there's only 45 head here. So I'll pay you $45,000 for the animals.
Wow. Science. Who knew? Who knew that science would come in handy down the road?
Again, dumb redneck counting deer in the woods. That's all I wanted to do.
Doing density surveys.
Yeah. It again, like, so when you're buying land and you're seeing this, and again, going back to that canvas, they're painting a picture for you that's what's now is in your mind. But let's go ahead and let's look into it.
Mm-hmm.
Because most transactions are going to take a while anyway, depending on the size, depending on how long the property's been sitting there. So, we've got time to say, hey, Robbie, I'm looking at a property in Montana. Go up there for a week, do your deal, get me a report, and let me know what you think how I should approach it as far as the wildlife aspect, as far as the habitat aspect goes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So you are willing to travel. You'll do all that kind of stuff. How many projects are you able to take on at once, though?
Right now, and again, it all depends on how involved you want me to be. So I have some properties where I'm operations for them. I'm basically all the way down to ordering the fuel, ordering the feed. When they're getting low on feed, I'll order the feed. I've got properties where they're just leasing it and they don't have time to go fill the feeders or check their trail cameras. So I'll go and do that. And then I have other ones where all I'm doing is filling their bird feeders for them, and then filling out their tax paperwork to send off to their appraisal districts.
Okay. So you'll do that too.
Oh yeah. So right now, we have 85 clients. And what I do a lot of times is large lot subdivisions.
Okay.
Those are the ones that, you've got 10 plus acres for every lot. And they're in a co-op. So it's a wildlife co-op where we're all working together to improve the habitat for wildlife.
Okay.
So that's where it's simple, because I'm doing everything the same for all of the properties. And for those guys, it's just the paperwork, which is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
A lot of people are worried about deadlines. How do I write this to appease the individuals that are reading this, and all those things. So we take the stress and the worry off of you as the landowner, and I come in and take care of all of it for you.
Wow. So, dude, 85, that's way more than I thought. I was expecting you to say like 8 or something like that, but 85, dude, how big is your team?
It's me.
No kidding. Okay. Are you nobody virtual, nothing like that?
Mm-mm. Um, if I need help, I have buddies, right? But for the most part, it's a lot of windshield time for me. That's like yesterday, driving 3 hours one way to go and visit with a ranch hand on a property and spend 4 hours over there, and then drive back. And right now, I can schedule things to where it's easy for me currently to handle the workload. And I cannot wait for the opportunity to grow, because part of the reason that I even started M4 was to, one, create, and two, give back. One of the biggest things that I do is I try to work with Texas Fallen Officer Foundation down here to give the money for banquets, to donate to them as much as possible. So as I grow, come on with it. Let's create this team. Let's build. Let's grow individuals in order to make myself obsolete.
Yeah. So I guess I get that. So I kind of see where you're going. What like how are you? What's the plan to scale? I guess like are you looking at bringing on other people? Because if you can do 85, dude, I mean a team of 10 guys out there working for you, you're doing almost 1,000 properties. Like that's pretty intense. Like what's the plan to scale this business?
Right now, I guess the biggest plan, or the biggest concept within the plan is I wouldn't be comfortable bringing someone on until I'm able to make sure that they don't have to go get a part-time job because we have one client fall off. So once I build the client base, because some of these properties, as far as the business goes, we love everybody. We want as many clients as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to help as many people as possible. Some of them only need like $500 a year help annually, right?
Yeah.
So if they just need to
Bird
call
feeders.
me if they just need to make sure that their bird feeders are full and their paperwork's turned in, cool. Yeah. So I don't have a lot of time there. Now, as we grow and I gain these bigger projects, and I earn these bigger projects and these bigger, I'm not a contract guy. I'm gonna look you in the eye, shake your hand, and that's what it is, guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll use it as I gain these bigger contracts. Then we're gonna grow. I have buddies that and acquaintances that have been in the industry. They are wildlife biologists, so I have them on standby, but I can't consciously offer them a spot until I know their families are taken care of.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes total sense. We don't want to like bring on people that you're gonna have to let go at some point if something were to happen, or if
Yeah.
the market shifts, dude. Who knows what's going on these days?
Oh yeah, for sure. And down here it's oil money, right?
Yeah.
So
And when that dries up, that town goes by.
oh yeah, those clients start to get a little worried and concerned once oil starts tanking a little bit. So
Yeah.
um, the the goal, like I said, is I will become a national known wildlife and habitat consulting company.
Yeah.
And right now I'm growing organically. Um, I do some of the social media stuff. I'll post some things here and there, but for the most part, it's word of mouth,
Yeah.
and I'm good with that.
Yeah. It's just that's what I was going to ask next. What does the social media presence look like right now? And do you have any plans, even in the distant future, like to up that?
Oh well, I actually just posted this in our Arate group. Was how do you get over imposter syndrome? Right. Again, the smartest guy and the dumbest shit. But
When you
how do
figure it out, let
you?
me know.
Yeah, I know, right? It's something that I struggle with because yes, I have the education. Yes, I've been doing wildlife stuff for 10 plus years.
Yeah,
So I have the knowledge. But how do I put myself to the side and just start producing content?
sure.
Well, I basically had you guys say, you just do it.
Yeah.
Who cares what other people think? You're going to have some that love you. You're going to have some that hate you. You're going to have some that really don't care what you say. So the goal is to one, just put myself to the side and start producing content.
Yeah.
Right now, it's spring food plot season. So I'm gonna start posting some videos of what we're doing, how we're doing it, why we're doing it,
Yeah.
and one just getting again putting me to the side and just getting out there and doing it.
Yeah.
Who cares what they say, right?
Absolutely.
Because
Yeah. In the rural land world, I understand where you're coming from, because it's not hip to be like on social media, right? It's not like the other guys aren't doing it. But what I had to understand was that it's not about me, right? I'm doing it for other people. I don't have a podcast so people look at this ugly face all day, right?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
so that I can show my friends, the people I know, people like you, that
yeah,
I didn't even know existed, and they probably don't either, right?
yes,
But
sir.
now it benefits them, so it benefits everybody. So you go out here and you do these types of things, videos and whatever, interviews and stuff for other people, and you got to keep that in mind. Like that's got to be
Mhm.
part of the reason you do it, because if you do it for yourself, it shows. If you pull up, if you pull up right, in your Lamborghini, like, hi, I'm Robbie, how's it going? I'm like, all right, that's awesome, man. But then you'd be doing it for
Yeah,
yourself. But all you did just then was explain everything you do, like, from start to finish, helping other people out. Other people are going to learn from that. So that's really
yeah,
awesome. And then on the second hand, it's kind of twofold. You're building like this body of work.
hmm
So, right now, word of mouth works. When you're in 50 states, people are going to be looking you up. They're going to want to
yes,
know who Robbie McQueen is, right? And when they look
yeah,
it up, what do you want them to see? Those high school pictures of you down in beers? Or do you want them to see videos where you're like doing interviews and you're helping people out and you're talking to people, right? You want to
yes,
build
sir.
overwhelming body of work to where they can search 50 times. They can watch 50 videos and it's the same dude. Just
Yeah,
some guy out there helping other people. And they're like, yeah, I want to work with that guy, man. I'll give him my money.
yeah,
You know?
and that's one of my things is I'm fairly good at taking complex concepts and making it simple.
Yeah.
And I picked that up when I was on active duty, being part of the training team. We know some people we start with, they eat crowns. I mean, it's natural, right?
The blue ones taste like blueberries.
It happens. So, taking some stuff that we're doing and breaking it down. And, they say, someone knows what they're doing when they can explain anything and everything to an elementary school kid.
Yes.
When you can break it down and you can take, again, plant succession. I have a forest. I clear cut it. Stuff grows back. It's that simple.
Yeah.
Now, how do we work with that? Well, we clear an acre. 2 years, 3 years later, we clear 2.5 of those acres. So some of it's starting to get a little more mature and it's got a little age on it. This stuff, we've set it all the way back. So it's starting from scratch again. Things like that. Taking the things where people are either bored or don't want to understand, or just like, yeah, just go do it.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things is I can do that pretty well. So it's just, again, it's a matter of sucking it up and just doing it.
Yeah.
And
I can attest to the fact that you do it well, because you explained your biologist degree to a guy who failed biology and who graduated college with a 2.0 GPA. So
hey,
you've already proven that you can absolutely explain it to maybe a third grader.
Yeah, but you graduated. That's right.
Yeah.
2.0 or not.
2.0, baby, slid right underneath the gate. They were shutting that gate down, and I was like, slid right under there.
But yeah, so it's I'm getting more. So when I first started, it was I want to start a business. I want to become successful. I want to do this. But even in the back of my mind at that point, I think I even went this route because my brother was more into the wildlife world than I was. And I knew this is something that once I got it to a certain point, I can bring him in and let him fulfill his dream of, just like me, being a dumb redneck in the woods counting deer. Like that. So I'm definitely getting and learning that service.
Yeah, if you help enough people get what they want, you'll get everything you want. I think I was like Zig Ziglar who said that.
Tenfold, right? Yeah. Like more than I can ever imagine. So it's definitely part of, the, like you said, the social media presence and all that. That's the mindset. And I believe somebody even said on the thread was like, if not you, then who? And again, it's not about you.
Yeah.
It's about what you're providing to others.
Yeah. I think you should definitely do videos. Because I know people want to see what you're talking about. They're going to want to go see exactly what you're talking about. You say clearing and feeding and providing water and shelter and bees. That's
bees.
That's like absolutely crazy. Yeah. So videos, even, I don't know, what do they have? Instagram, TikTok, you can do it all, man.
Oh yeah. See, that's another issue, right? I'm like one of the least social media driven dudes. Like, and obviously, the last couple of years haven't really helped the desire to be like, oh, let me get in the game, right? For instance, I had a rifle built by a company called Brace Built out of Grapevine, Texas, and it was for the Texas Fallen Officer Foundation. Well, I posted it as a raffle. I had 6 people get in this raffle.
Okay.
I have, I don't have a huge following. It might be right around 1,500. But everyone that follows me is very like-minded. So only 6 of them saw this and were interested, right?
Yeah.
And so I reached out to the individuals that I work at within Texas Fallen Officer Foundation, and they tried to repost it. They got their little PP slap, and they got the post blocked because there was a firearm involved.
Oh, so, yeah.
So that's kind of where, another, I guess, side of this is like all the stuff I post, we're shooting animals.
Yeah.
There's firearms involved. And so is it really, and I guess this is where I got to put myself to the side. Is it really reaching people in order to help them?
Yeah, that makes total sense. I've had posts removed just for showing a picture of like an antelope that I took a picture of, or a moose or something like that that would be on or near the property. I got posts removed for that.
And so it's like, what is it? But again, I guess I have to do it because
Yes, absolutely.
even if it reaches one person, that's the goal, right?
Mhm. And
I'm
that's
helping
Facebook.
someone.
Yeah, that's just Facebook though, too. TikTok,
Mhm.
Instagram, dude, I've seen videos of animals eating each other, people shooting animals all the time. I don't
Oh
think
yeah,
that's ever going to be an issue on those two places. So, and you can do the
yeah.
TikTok videos in like, what are they, like 30 seconds, a
Hmm.
minute? I think our videos were like a tops a minute, and
Yep.
just knock them out really fast. Dude, by the end, you're the guy everybody knows.
Yeah. And that's I've looked into to some of the marketing guys,
Mhm.
and just to help bounce things off, be that sounding board, right?
Yeah.
And being a small company, people will come back like, yeah, you need to spend about $6,000 a month on your marketing. I'm like, we got to make that first, homie. like,
That's ridiculous, man.
like,
I mean, you can do all the social media marketing by yourself for free right now.
yeah, yeah.
Just put yourself out there, and just it's really the overwhelming amount of content you have to have. It's
Hmm.
more about a numbers game. I don't. I mean, it's no shock here that I don't pay anybody to do my marketing, but I don't need to, right? It's
Yeah.
I just keep posting videos over and over and over and over and
Hmm.
over all the time. Every week there's a podcast. It's more of a long play too. I
Yeah.
I don't need to pay anybody any amount of money. I think a guy wanted to charge me some crazy amount of money to do my podcast, right? It would be like 600 to 1,000 per video podcast. And I do one a week, right? So I was like, it sounds kind of a lot. So I started developing myself, and then I found a virtual assistant on Upwork who does
Hmm.
it for $30 a week. So
Oh,
my virtual assistant prepares. So all the podcasts I have, all the shorts, reels, highlights, all that is a $30 per week virtual assistant.
oh, that's awesome.
It's insane. And she does a 10 times better job than I used to do. So
Heck
they're
yeah.
very good at what they do. They knock it out really quick. You have a deadline. They provide it to you. You pay them. Done. $30.
Oh, that's something that we may have to chat about off air, so to
Yeah.
say. And and again,
And they make it
just
look good. Like, you see all these videos with like, I don't know, words popping up and like all these things happening. I don't want to do that. I don't got time for that. These guys, they
nope.
knock it out like it's nothing. Like
Heck
it's
yeah.
fast and easy. Yeah, we'll talk
Awesome.
about that, Dan.
Oh,
Anyway,
for
Robbie,
sure.
what are we missing here? Are we missing anything? Is there anything else you want to cover?
Nah. And I think we've covered most of it.
We got a lot. Yeah. We got to follow up
Yeah.
too, because I know we're going to be like, people are going to be like, all right, I wanted to talk to Robbie more. All the land guys are going to want to talk to you. So,
Yeah, let's talk about bees, bro. Let's do that.
All right, Robbie, how
But
can people get hold of you?
I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and it's at M4 Outdoors LLC.
Okay.
My website's m4outdoorsllc.com. And yeah, I post fairly regularly. Y'all, if y'all have any questions, reach out. Email is m4outdoors@outlook.com. Shoot me an email. Let me know if you have questions. Like I said, dumbest guy and the smartest shit. So let's see if we can help y'all.
Dude, I love that. You're amongst friends if you're the, the dumbest
Yes,
guy.
birds of a feather, bro.
Absolutely. I don't mind being the dumbest guy in the room, man. It speeds things up. You learn a lot more that way.
Yep, I prefer it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's rare that I'm the smartest guy in the room. Well, right now I am, but I'm the only guy here. So
I was like, I have my dog, but she's asleep on the bed, so I don't know who's smarter. She's taking a good nap right now. So
that's awesome. Okay, Robbie, here's the big question. We've been prepping you
yes,
for
sir.
this. You know what's coming. You know
Mm-hmm.
this one's coming. We're LandLife. We buy and sell dirt and trees. If I could find a hat here, I'd put it up in the thing, but we buy and sell dirt and trees. If you, Robbie, could buy land anywhere in the world, whole world, where would it be and why?
Well, I'm American through and through, so I'm not going to leave our soil.
Okay.
I like it. My wife and I were talking. She's Texas, born and raised. There's a town called Brenham.
Okay.
Brenham, Texas. Texas is flat for the most part, so just think rolling hills,
Okay.
grasses, pasture land for the most part, and then some of the oldest oaks that you would ever see. I'm talking oaks big enough to where Shaq would have to have 3 of himself to touch hands around the trunks of these
No
things.
kidding.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And they have the blue bonnets down here in Texas. It's a big thing. Like people swerve out of traffic, barely slow down, throw their kids out into the blue bonnets just so they can take a picture of their kids in these blue bonnets. It's interesting. But so they have the wildflowers is what the blue bonnet is, and it's just some of the prettiest country that you would see.
Okay.
Being a whitetail guy, Iowa and Illinois, they have big deer. So if I want my wife to be happy, we're going to Brenham.
Okay.
If I want to go shoot big deer, I'm probably going to Iowa.
Okay. We've got to go to Brenham because we always want the wife to be happy. Now, you can always get a nice truck and head up to, it's not too far, what, 6 hours, 8 hours, something like that?
Give or take. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So
we'll ask her to buy a nice new truck, take all your stuff up there, and then she can live in Brenham with the bluebells and take pictures of the kids. You can do her
yes, sir.
Instagram pictures with the kids all day long.
Yep. Hey, just make sure you're at a slow roll when you throw them out. We'll be good. No worries.
Right on, Robbie. Thank you so much, man.
All right. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
All right, guys. Till next time, I'll see you on LandLife.